Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits, brought to you by Seagar High Performance Braids and Seven Reels, Seviin Reels. Today, we're going to talk to Mercury Pro, Nitro Pro, Power Pole Pro, NWT Pro, and the host of the Next Bite TV show, Chase Parsons. Jason and I are going to talk about tournament fishing, the NWT schedule, the upcoming NWT event to kick off the season on Lake Sharp out here in South Dakota. Chase has been in this industry for a long time and doing this for 22 years. He knows his stuff. We're going to talk about nitro boats, Mercury motors, all those great things, and why Chase likes to make the long runs at all these tournaments. So stay tuned. You're going to want to hear what Chase has to say, and we'll be diving in right after this brief message from Seagar High Performance Braids.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about this new line that Seagar introduced this year. It's been on the market for a couple years, but it's been over in Japan. They just brought it over to the United States this year, and I absolutely love it. It's called PEX8. This is by far the thinnest diameter braid I have ever used. This is still an 8-strand braided line with such a thin diameter. It's unbelievable. I'm using an 18-pound test today, and it feels like 2 pound. You know, the advantages to this thin diameter is if it's windy out, I'm not catching much wind, I get less bow in the line. High pressure situations where the fish are, taking on a lot of fishing pressure, a thinner diameter line, less visible, of course. Current in the rivers, I'm gonna cut the current a little better, I'm gonna get better control, and they did all this without losing any of its strength. This stuff is still strong as all the Seagar braided lines, and the sensitivity is second to none. So check this out, this PEX8 over at seagar.com.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today we are joined by Nitro, Power Pole, Mercury Pro, and the host of the Next Bite TV series, Chase Parsons. What's going on over there, big guy?
Oh, just getting prepped for the season. Dumping the boat in here in about an hour and a half to make sure it floats before I head out to South Dakota. So, a typical spring early tournament for a professional angler, I guess. It's that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is definitely go time, and something getting. I told us my old boat left yesterday. The new boat's here, sitting in the same boat in a sense. Got to get it on the water, make sure it floats, which is really never the issue. But there's so many components we put in these things. There's massive motors, all these electronics, these batteries, and it's like it's inevitable. Something's probably not going to work, or eventually we just need to troubleshoot it and get it figured out. But it's very nerve-wracking that first time.
Yeah, it is. I guess the only thing that kind of comforts me a little bit is I pretty much do all the wiring for the electronics and stuff in my boat. So I know how it's all wired. So if there's an issue with that stuff, it's my fault. And I know exactly where to go. So
Right.
we were just talking right before we came on here, Brian, and it's funny because it's like you look at it and it's like, well, hopefully everything works, and it looks really good on the trailer. You said that.
It does.
It looks like everything's gonna work, but I guess we'll see. So I want to make sure everything's working well before I guess I make the trip out there. Even though there's some dealers if I need it, but
Yep.
I'd like to start fishing here in a day or two. That's the plan.
Yep, you're gonna be you and I are gonna both be just the guys that are idling around a lot because we're breaking our boats in. So I was like, well, I'm gonna break. Might as well just drive around and start scanning at least, right? I mean, cover some water. So the good news is, for those that are listening, we got Lake Sharp first NWT tournament coming up, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we'll save some of that for later. So I have Tyler Hoopa from Contour Sonar and rig mine. I don't know electrical stuff. It's inevitable now with the lithiums and all that. I'm like, I'm going to fry something. I don't trust it, and they put I got the Garmin, the Kraken on it, and they installed that at the factory. Thank God. So they came in and from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and knocked the whole thing out. Yeah. And I watched them, and the whole plan was to watch them. So if something does go wrong, help them out. I know where it goes, but I was too busy getting the wrap off my boat, getting it clean, getting everything out. Cause the guy came and picked it up the next day, and I'm like, I didn't really get to see you guys do anything, even though I had both boats in the garage. But I kind of dug through, kind of walked me through it all, and looks good to go. I can't imagine anything being wrong with it, but you turn everything on. Like I said, it looks great on the trailer. Everything's on. We're running. Side image is a little tricky because I'm like, I see my garage floor, so I'm assuming that's a good start. So
yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
As long as you pay to see anything with some of the sonar stuff when it's in your garage, right? Like, then you
Yep.
know, if you hear the transducers clicking, you know that something's kind of working. But
Yep, yep. We had our ears down to it, and the live scope was looking at the garage door. I'm like, I hear it. And they're like, all right, we're good, man. It's, I got a couple birds on it, and the scope's Garmin's up front. You probably are loaded with the Lowrances, I imagine, right?
yep. Yeah. All the Rances, 4 units and stuff. But I think it should be fine. More than anything, I just want to dump it in and maybe have a little fun. Get part of the all the warm up procedures and break in procedures started. So when it comes game time, we can go wide open. You know what I
We
mean?
can go, and those 400 Mercuries are got to go wide open.
Yep.
And there's no better place to rip them babies open than on the Missouri River. So
I agree with that. I'll go a step further. I don't think there's a better place to fish than on the Missouri River system. I love that stuff out there. You guys are pretty lucky to have that out there. And yeah, I mean, I'm right by Green Bay, which is good too. But I'll tell you what, like that whole system out there is way on the top of my list. Always.
it's been good to you.
Yeah, it's been good to me. Ironically, the Sharp thing is a little interesting. I think the last time I was at Sharp, I was probably about 8 or 9 years old in the back of my old man's boat. I've never fished a tournament on Sharp, but all those reservoirs, they kind of just fit my style of fishing. I'm not going to say they fish the same, but they're kind of similar in a way, right? So I'm excited. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, it should be. And I was saying, so the weather's been pretty good. The whole Midwest is blowing and it's not just like a little, it's like 30 to 40 one day, and then we're flat calm the next day. And I just wrapped up a tournament, and it was literally 75 and not a ripple at Chamberlain on Saturday, and 40-mile-an-hour gusts on Sunday.
Yeah.
Fish same area, fish still there, caught them, just had to mix up how you do it. But typically what you got at Sharp is the bad river is just like a couple miles up from the dam or down from the dam. And if you got some good snow melt or good rain, that thing's going to dump mud.
Yeah.
Because it's just a mud hole river at the bottom coming in.
Yep.
And it goes right into it, right past the bridges, and then you lose a large portion of the reservoir. But it's pushing, there's really nothing coming out of it much. So that opens up the whole system for everybody. Otherwise, everybody's going to get pretty, piled up above it. But it's fishing pretty good, I think. A lot, kind of like Chamberlain. It just doesn't sound like it has. Chamberlain's got a good year class of those overs right now.
Yeah.
Not the 8+ pounders, but those 3 to 5s.
Yep.
Which are quality if those 20 to 22, especially if you get pre-spawns. But we should have both. We should have some post and some pre-spawn. I think the water's probably in the mid to upper 40s.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But Sharp has got a lot more flats and sandbars, kind of versus some of those.
That's what it looks like. I've done a little map research, right? But yeah, it definitely looks different than some of the other reservoirs as far as contours and things like that. But you know what? I don't care. It's the Missouri River system. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
So,
we'll find them somewhere and try to catch them. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's the fisheries are healthy. There's a lot of them, and there's just a lot of fish, whether, the size, but even in Chamberlain, numbers are good, but the fish are super healthy. They seem a little kind of like when the NWT was there. It's kind of fishing like that. Not quite the abundant amount of fish, but the quality of fish. Big females and like the 18-inch males are over 2 pounds. Are very
nice.
Real thick. So, and there's going to definitely be some smallies going up there on Sharp. A lot of smallies in there. So
yeah, nice.
But typical Missouri River, right? It's rigging, it's jigging, it's lead core.
Yep. I first thing I did was load up the lead core, and as you know, and as pretty much everyone knows that's watching this, it seems like we're all on the bow of our boat looking at screens for the most part. But I was joking, I was talking to Tom Kimos yesterday as we're kind of packing our boats and trucks and stuff, and you know what, I understand that the scoping game or active target, whatever you want to call it, such a big thing. But Missouri River system, I'm gonna have lead core in my boat until I die. You know what I mean? I threw 12 rods in, all lead core right at the bottom of the rod locker, and
me too.
And I'm using it. That's I love pulling lead core. It's one of my favorite things to do, and honestly, all year long on those systems it's a great way to catch them. So So I plan on doing a little bit of everything and just hoping when I get out there that it's not blowing 40 like you said it was last weekend in Chamberlain, and cover some water and try to find the right ones, you know.
Yeah, I think after tomorrow, a little bit on Friday, I think the weather looks pretty fair. We may have a day of rain or something, but 40s and 60s. I'm not seeing any massive wind, but a week out that'll definitely change. But trolling lead on the river is just, especially for pre-fishing. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no more efficient
Yeah.
way just to cover a bunch of water.
Well,
and
that's the
find them.
thing, right? Like that's the thing why it's so good is you cover ground, right? I mean, not that you're not covering ground when you're going 3-4 miles an hour scoping and stuff, but you can kind of like it. It also is nice to see what the area totally has to offer in terms of different size of fish, and one of the best ways to do it is trolling, and it always will be to the end of time. So yeah, I got a lot of crankbaits loaded up in the boat, Brian. I'll tell you that much.
It might be a little time for some money badger to shine. So,
hey, I got a couple boxes sitting right at the port
I
side.
can imagine you do.
Yep.
But it's always hard to beat a flicker shad and flicker minnow. But that money badger, baby, that sucker's coming on strong. And I know some guys have been casting them on the rocks too for these pre-spawners and doing pretty well with them. So
Yep.
it is just, you just got to have lead. It's so efficient. The Sunday tournament was blowing at about noon. It picked up to where I couldn't scope. I just put the lithiums in the new boat. The old boat didn't have them, so I couldn't keep it going. So let's crank. Well, then we started cranking, and the first fish wasn't over. So and then I found a huge pod that we were off by like a quarter mile on our drift. We just needed to go further. Went, oh well. Now we see him, and then we just made like 5 passes over him, and it was white bass and walleye, and it was nuts. So, it's like, this is pretty effective. So it's hard to beat that tick, that little thump on your jig, but
it's still the most fun way for sure. But yeah, like that's the thing. I grew up pulling lead core. I mean, it was my favorite technique for a long, long time, and I love catching them jigging. But we're gonna be doing a little bit of both this week.
Right.
We'll see what produces the best, right?
Watching that rod load up.
That's
what gets me. It is. I'm like that's why I like pulling lead.
when the rod goes straight because it blows slack in it, like when it just straightens out and then it just goes boom. Like I love that. I'll always love that.
And you can pick it up and you're like, you know how big it is.
Yep.
Unless it's one of them little 14s that hit it super hard, Seagar, and he's hooked sideways or in the top of the head. Right.
Then you get excited, right? You're like, oh yeah, here we go.
I can't even count the number of times I put the boat in neutral. And there was a 14 Seagar. And you're like, seriously? Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
Those Seagars are aggressive. Oh.
Yep.
Well, let's backpedal a little bit, Chase, on the next bite. So those that have been living under a rock and don't know who you are, just a little background information, info just on yourself, what you're doing, your family. What do you do when you're not fishing besides go fishing?
Yeah. I guess you could probably say in the walleye world, grew up in maybe the best family you could have ever grown up in. Old man Gary Parsons, uncles Keith Cavias. A long time ago, they started the Next Bite TV. Actually, we are filming our 22nd year right now, Brian. That's pretty crazy to say that.
It is.
And I was just one of those guys through high school, basically, that when I figured out I wasn't going to play professional golf because I wasn't good enough at that level, I decided I was going to fish like my old man. And so been doing this full time since I've been 20. I will be 42 years old in September, so I've been doing it a long time. And the show's going really well. We've added a couple guys for those of you that are familiar with the Next Bite. You see Corey Sprangel on it a lot, Tom Kimos, Jason Shakira, myself and my old man. So we just like to have fun, like to teach people how to catch more fish, and it's really a fun thing to do for a living. I mean, you make a living in this industry. You do a lot of guiding. I don't do a lot of guiding, but boy, there's just different ways that we're allowed to make a living, be out on the water, have fun doing what we're doing. And that's definitely how I would categorize myself, as I'm a pretty lucky guy to be able to make the fishing industry my living. And, and hopefully that continues until I can't walk. You know what I mean?
It's yeah, I hear you. The retirement plan is, I'm like, there isn't one. It's just,
There
I'm
isn't
just gonna fish till I can't fish, and at that point I'm probably dead anyway.
Yep.
So they had a little live thing with the fishing crew at our tournament at Chamberlain this weekend, and had Gary Allen's guide service on there, who was the first original guide out here on Francis Case in like '77.
Yeah.
You know, and Walter, Chase and Walter Bryan asked him, he said, what's your exit plan? And he was like, I die. He's like, would I die? He's like, I'm running the motel. He doesn't guide a whole lot. Mike, his son, and then they got a whole plethora of guides out there just crushing fish. He's like, I don't want to do anything else. I want to fish and hunt until I can't. And then when I can't, then Mike will take it over. And he's like, and I'm at that point probably, stuck in a wheelchair, or I'm 6 feet under. He's like, or, spread my ashes in the river, whatever it may be. So I'm like, I hear you. As long as our other halves agree with that concept, well, we can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm pretty sure that my other half would probably in the next 20 years prefer to move where it's a little bit warmer.
Makes two of us.
But I guess we'll see how it is. I've never been one that's really planned for retirement. You know what I mean?
Yep. And it's not easy because you're not getting super rich in this business by all means. No, it's a grind. It's a hustle. That's why we're doing things like podcasts and TV shows and guiding, and then you throw it all in on these tournaments. And if you don't have, a couple top tens, you pretty well kind of lost your ass that year, and that ain't easy to get a couple of those a year. So
no, it's not. I mean, I laughed at it because last year is I think I ended up 12th overall. So when you look at it, not a bad year. I never cashed a check, Brian.
I know. I was gonna say you could end up in the top 10 and never have caught a chest.
34th place in basically every tournament. It seemed like so.
Yep.
Yeah, my average was fine, but I'm hoping this year goes a little bit better. Maybe kick off the season in 21. I had a good kickoff of the season in the NWT on the Mercury River system. So, boy, that would be pretty sweet if I could do that again. But,
you can get second. We'll trade places. I think I got 10th that time. You got first. Let's trade.
Okay. All right. That'd be fine.
As long as we come out with something, right? I mean, hey, we only want to win. That's the name of the game.
Yep. No, it's exciting to get another year rolling, and I'm just excited to get out there and do some fishing because I really haven't done any of it at all this spring yet. So it's time.
It is. It's good. The bites have been good, and hopefully Sharp, takes off. I talked to Heiser the other day. A lot of those guys are in town for the Shields Fishing University going on right now out in Chamberlain, and so some came in day early to break their boat in. The same thing. I'm going to break it in. I might as well drive around Sharp and do a little scanning because it's only about an hour north, or west of Chamberlain there. So I said, he goes, fishing was surprisingly pretty good and got into some smallmouth as well. So, it'll be fun. I know some guys are already heading that way, getting there early, and just because they got the bug, they're ready to go. And the whole, a lot of guys like yourself, we just got these boats. We haven't even had them on the water yet. So coming a day or two early to adjust is not a bad idea. Golf. You said you sucked at golf, so you didn't go that way. According to Chemos and guys that have been on here, just jabbing you, about Chase's golf. But I would say you're far from sucking. So I think you maybe just had some other hurdles that set you back, but you had a pretty luxurious golf career going there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a career, but I can still play, Brian. Here's how I would say it.
Top golf don't count.
Yeah. Oh, I do like top golf.
No, you do.
Yeah. Here's what I would say is I would welcome anyone on the Walleye tour. I'd be willing to put money on myself and on my golf game against anyone on the Walleye tour. So there's that.
I'd put my money on you too because I'd put myself as the last.
You got to straighten this out a little bit. So you mentioned Chemos. And Chemos has been one of my best buddies for 15 plus years, whatever. Did he honestly say I wasn't good at golf? Because he's terrible.
Somebody jabbed you. I know he was on. Maybe it was Jason and somebody else, but he might not have said he sucked. But I know, there were some jabs going on about, Chase's golf game.
It was probably Shakira. He plays 6 times a week, and he just gets upset. I play 6 times a year, and he still has no chance. So,
I built my previous house in Nebraska on a golf course, and I'd go to the driving range, and I live houses on each side of me where the guys that were, one was a golf pro from Florida, and he moved back home to the small town. The other one ran the country club, owned insurance. I mean, these guys are, sticks in their own mind with the clubs.
Yeah.
And tried to get me to join the league and stuff. I'm like, I suck at the driving range, man. When I hit it, so like 1 out of 5 or 10, when I hit it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's straight. There's no slash or hook. I said, but the other 9, I don't even hit. I just miss. It's all grass or all like, and it's like,
it's one of those sports that definitely should, in your mind, it seems like it should be a lot easier than what it is, right? Like the ball doesn't move. Yeah, I mean, it just sits there. Like you should just be able to hit it forward, right? But no, it's good. It's funny because there are a lot of the anglers throughout the years I've played a lot of golf with, and everyone seems to like golf. It's one of those sports where I think it's just a lifetime sport, right? So like you end up. I've played with a lot of the dudes on tour. A couple of them, trying to think. I've heard there's a couple pretty good golfers. I know Jake Coffey has been chirping me a little bit the last year or two about getting on the course, which is weird because he's only one of the only dudes on tour that I'm taller than. So I guess,
no doubt.
You know what I mean? So like I guarantee I hit it past him, so I'm not too worried about that. But no, it's all good, man, right? Like, that's what it's all about. It's just the camaraderie with the guys on tour and stuff, and I've made a lot of really good friendships, and, you and I have talked a lot throughout the years, and that's more than anything, my excitement is just getting back, seeing the guys, getting out on the water, trying to attack a system that, honestly, I really haven't been on in Sharp. Like you said, the jabs and stuff like that. I mean, you can imagine, like, my roommates are Chemos, Sprengel, and Tom Wynn. So every night in our house, there's some fun things that happen, some talking that goes on.
I can only imagine it. And I'm sure you guys are like just littering Tom's mind with horrible stuff because he's like, what the hell?
Yeah, like I'm actually a little bit surprised. So last year was the first year that we traveled with Tom Wynn, and if you follow walleye fishing, you know who Tom Wynn is now, right?
Great
dude. The guy's incredible. Incredible angler, but an even better person. I mean, Chemos and Sprengel and I say some stuff that probably is pretty alarming for the average person. And I'm surprised. Obviously, Tom likes it because he's traveling with us again.
Yep.
But it's a pretty diverse group of guys for sure, and we have fun, and we get to hang out again this whole season, and I'm sure that we'll probably continue to gotten to be all really good friends and have some fun when we're traveling.
Well, that is, I mean, obviously, all want to win some money and do more than even break even at the end of the season, but it's the camaraderie. And I've had co's message, and they're like, well, they ask a bunch of questions about getting in and what to expect. I'm like, what if I draw so and so? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, everybody's, they're all great guys. I mean, 90% of them, you're not going to have any problems with or nothing like that. I'm like, it's like they're all good. They're all just good people, good stuff. But I'm like, it's, some of us, it's their job. Don't take anything personal. It's go time. And like I said, and Tom, there's all sorts of different perceptions on the team stuff and all that, but the camaraderie aspect of it, and just with the expense saving, right, of sharing a house and who's cooking, or if, and then obviously the information thing can be huge, but it seems like there seems to be less of that nowadays with, I don't, maybe because of scoping, or just if you've been to these places so many times, you got a pretty good feel for it. Plus social media, that everything and the world's out there, and we don't have the bass rules with the no info.
Yep.
But Tom is a smart move by joining you guys to learn the old fundamentals of walleye fishing, since he's kind of new to the walleye from the bass world.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, for him, that was one of the things, right? The three of us have a lot of experience on the different bodies of water. We can get him in the right areas, if you will. where he
Yep.
wouldn't have known those areas. And let's just face it, when it comes down to fishing with forward-facing sonar, I will not put anyone in.
He's tough to beat.
I don't care. I don't
Yep.
care. Walleye basket. I don't care. I just won't put anyone ahead of him because I've seen it. I've fished with him a lot, and he's incredible at that stuff. So like, which is kind of funny. There's almost like always in pre-fish for us. There's like a tournament within our group against each other.
Right.
If we're
Yep.
if we go out there on even a pre-fish day, if we have a better day than Tom using forward-facing sonar, you kind of just like
Yeah.
like like I could do this, right? Like, but
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's confidence.
Right.
And that he's got so much confidence in that the fact that he just carries a box of jigs and crawlers, it's like, this is it.
That's what I was gonna say, because I love the guy, awesome guy, but like Sprengel, Kibos, myself, we're getting tied up the night before the tournament, and we're spending hours, right? Trolling rods, different jigging rods, stuff, all this stuff, like getting 15 different new boxes of baits that we want to set up. And, and Tom Wynn goes to his boat and he respools 2 rods and he has 1 box of jigs and he'll come walking back past us in like 5 minutes and he'll be like, I'm ready.
Yep.
I'm just like, what's going on? I don't know. It's funny, but yeah, it's what he does. But yeah, like I'm just more so looking forward to. And the one thing is, being that we travel with him, like you listen to him, right? Like, and how he talks about the forward-facing thing. And I would say I'm decent at it. I'm not fantastic at it, but everything you get from that guy, just knowledge, will make you better. And like I said, I've just been lucky that I've been in the boat with him many times now, and see what it can do for you. And I'm still not as good as he is at it, but and I'm working on it, Brian. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hear you.
I got time.
Yep. I spent all last year on that thing, and I had the worst year on tour ever. But I got it, and I'd get done, and I go back out, and that's it. I just lived on it, and I did it. And I even had a co once. She's like, "You just getting into this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went from this other version that wasn't that great to this one." I'm like, "Oh, well, this is a whole different game now."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're pretty good at it." I'm like, "Really? We only got 1 fish in a box," but but he could tell that to me, it's really about boat position and boat control and maneuvering.
Yep.
Is the huge key to it.
Yep.
And having that trolling motor cranked with that lithium power to to keep you on it. And I mean, Tom's like, "Hey, I watched the fish for 4 hours." I'm like, "Man, if I got 4 seconds on it, that was pretty good."
Yeah.
How did you watch it for 4 hours? But it's
like,
good.
Like
everybody's getting better.
It's the boat control thing, right? The guys who live and die by it, right? Like, it does not matter what the conditions are. They're very comfortable staying on a fish and 4-footers or whatever on the bow mount. And I know there's a lot of people probably watching that are like, "Well, I can do that." Well, I'm telling you, if you haven't done it your whole life, you can't do it. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. So it's a boat control thing. And the more that everyone works on it, the better everyone's going to get. And we probably need to. Let's face it, the guys who are super good at it dominated last year, and I want to be one of those guys that's dominated.
Right. They're going to dominate again, so it's either get with it or get out. So
but no, it's all good. I'm not against it at all. I mean, I know that's like the hot topic in the fishing industry, right? Like, I stay away from that stuff. Technology's technology. Everyone was mad when GPS systems came out where you could drop waypoints and things like every step along the way, there were people that were upset about technology. So it is what it is. We better learn how to use it better. Otherwise, we're going to be going to a lot of tournaments and donating money. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's time to we just accept it. This is the game. Let's move on and quit having these stupid discussions about banning it and removing it. Bass World's making their movements, and they'll see how it works out. But you've seen some of these, recent tournaments, early season bass, that guys are doing real good without it. So I think NPFL kicked off today, but everything's always changing. It's ebb and flow. It's just the way it is, and if you're not going to get with it, then you're donating, and and you can still be in that check range, but you're not going to be in the top. You're not going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. No,
Plus maybe
I would
Mississippi
agree with
River.
that. I would agree
So,
with that. Yeah. I mean, it's still in certain systems, right? I think we'll
right.
see. Yeah, we'll see where guys do well without it for sure throughout the years here and there. But yeah, I'm with you. Like if you are not a good forward facing guy, it is super hard to be in the top 10 in almost any tournament right now.
Nope.
Incredibly hard. So it is what it is. Move on, get better at it, and you know, I'll tell you what. Like last year, I'd say was the first year that I really got after it. Kind of like you said, right? I think a
Yep.
lot of us last year was the year where we all just realized, hey, we got to all get better at this. The guys that are good at it are always in the top 5, and that's
They're taking all our money, man.
it's got to stop happening. So,
Right.
it should be a fun year because I think that, like I said, it's not just you and I, Brian. I think there was 50 other guys that really focused on it over the last year to try to get better at it, and you can see some of those names that started doing real well end of the year using it.
Jake Kahi. Yep.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, should be a fun year. Schedule looks, I don't know. All right, we're traveling all over the place.
It looks all right.
Is our? I mean, I'm not wrong, right? Like,
No, you're not.
It looks all right. But you know what? I've fished some really tough bites throughout the years too, and I think at least we're gonna have some probably pretty good bites, right? We should be catching fish, and that keeps it fun, keeps it interesting.
Whatever your skill or experience level is as an angler, you deserve a fishing reel that contributes to your success and satisfaction on the water and never detracts from it. From the makers of St. Croix Rods, 7 Reels, spelled Seviin, is born of 7 decades of design and manufacturing expertise, industry-leading angler support, and the American family ownership dating back to 1977. 7 Reels are designed and crafted for high performance and unrelenting reliability. Verified at least 16 different ways by extreme torture testing at 7's one-of-a-kind Park Falls, Wisconsin laboratory. 7 Reels are also proven on the water by the most demanding professional guides and tournament anglers. So by the time a 7 reaches your hands, it's ready for anything you throw at it. Guaranteed by the best and easiest warranty in the industry. Disappointment happens, but there should never come as a result of your reel. 7 Reels are tested, proven, and guaranteed to be the most reliable on the planet. Check out the entire lineup at 7reels.com. It does indeed. Let me go back to the next by 22 years. That's not too heard of in the industry for shows to even be on that long. So that's a pretty remarkable feat there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's allowed us to stay around as long as we have is just we're a teaching show, right? Like every we're technique specific. We're not okay. This is the rod you got to use because it's awesome, right? Like it's more so techniques, catching more fish, helping people just catch more fish, and that still will always resonate in the fishing industry as long as I'm alive, right? Like if you can teach people how to catch more fish and do it the right way and be honest, right? Like that's one of the things. Credibility's been number one for us throughout all the years, and that's an important thing to stay around in this industry, as you well know. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, and I'm not looking at ending it anytime soon.
That's good because there's no retirement plans. So keep going.
Yep.
Keep cranking them out. So we're kicking off this thing next week. We go to Lake Sharp. Any thoughts on that? What you think it's going to take? Or, I mean, you haven't been there since you were a little boy, but
honestly, no idea as far as weight goes. Like I've looked at some of the past tournaments that have been on it and things. I guess I'm going to judge it based more on, the overs I catch in practice, how big they are. So I couldn't even tell you what I think for weight it's going to be. To be honest, you'd have a better idea knowing it probably more than I do, but I don't know. I gotta imagine you're gonna need those 23 to 26 inchers each day, and then good unders, right? Like that's what I would guess. I have no idea.
I would say if you get those, you should win.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the guys that live there tell me it's not putting out the big fish. But
Sure.
I mean, if you look at old results like MWC when we were there in like 2015 or something, I think there was
Yeah.
30 inchers caught on the first day.
Saw that. Yep.
And I caught
All those
one.
guys were in the top 4, right?
Right.
With one fish.
One fish. And I caught one, or we caught one the day before the tournament.
Sure.
And of course, didn't catch it. Of course, you catch it the day before.
Yeah.
But I don't think they got them so much on the second day. It was a little earlier, 1st April. Half the lake still had ice on it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like kind of that year class isn't there. But if they are, it's like Chamberlain. But the way these systems work, okay, you got a 15, 20-pound bag on day one.
Yeah.
Great. I'm always like, I'm not worried about that guy in first because he's not going to do that on day 2.
Yeah.
We just saw that last week. And here, 16 pounds day 1, second place, 8 pounds day 2.
Yeah.
When you catch an 8-pounder, it's kind of yours to lose.
Yep.
But not to say it can't happen. So, but those fish are moving. They're, just because he caught them here, all right, that tomorrow they're all gone. It's the river. they're out. So I don't know. I think you can get.
That's what I love about that stuff out there, though, right? Like it's
keeps you on your
tough
toes.
to stay consistent, and that's always been something. In especially this time of year, but in the summer too, right? Like those fish move so much on that system that it's almost like pre-fishing every day, right? You're going pre-fishing basically. You have an idea in your mind, but gosh, like talk about a wahi, talk about Chamberlain. Like how many times have you went, Brian, tournament day, and it felt like you had a really good plan and go to this area where you've been just whaling on fish and they are just flat out gone. Like it happens a lot on that system, which is one of the things that I feel like that's probably why I like it. I think it's a big time challenge for anglers to stay on top of fish, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I guess I saw those big fish in that were weighed in that tournament years ago and stuff, and that's kind of a fluke thing, right? Like you can see that in a second. So yeah, like it'd be sweet if you and I day one would each go catch a 9-pounder. That'd be friggin' awesome.
Yeah, but, I mean it's yours to lose, really. At that point,
but it's like I think like typical tournaments, Hawaii's different because there's so many big fish in there now.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you get your 2 decent overs and catch some big unders. Like that's always the goal on any of those systems, right? Like it is. Hawaii now you want 2 9-pounders, but
you don't even go for unders. You just go. I need my 2 overs, and it doesn't. I can win on 2 fish for 20 pounds.
Yeah, but everything's not Hawaii. So
no.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed the slots out there. I've always thought it's a challenge, and I'm just hoping that I can go out there day one and slop into one of those 30 inchers you were just talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for as healthy as these fisheries are, they're there. You can't produce this many fish without having a handful of these big ones.
Yep.
And then a lot of people they're not targeting them like we are, because you hear things like even when we went to Mississippi River last year, the locals all said, bites, I don't know what happened. It was great. And then it just went to crap. I'm like, well, and then we all showed up and I was like, right away, I'm like, this bite looks pretty good to me, but we're fishing different.
Yep.
We're hunting and looking, and I've never been there, so we don't have memories to go off. We're not just going to our local hole and it's not going, and we just say, oh, well, they're gone or it's just done. Right? We're flying all over, checking new spots, and it's outsiders coming into the local thing a lot of times open their eyes to things that they're like, oh, I've never tried that in 20 years. You're like, yeah, you've been missing out. These fish have been in 3 foot of water in these weeds forever.
Yeah, well, right. It's one of those things, and I've done this. This is my 22nd year fishing the circuit, and I mean, I have lived through a lot of very, very tough bites, like terrible bites, right, in tournaments. But I'll tell you what, Brian. Every single tournament, there's a couple guys that catch them. So, you can think it's as bad as you want to think it is, but I believe me, there's 5 guys that are catching them perfectly fine, even in really tough bites. So it's just one of those things that you just got to be prepared for. Like I remember my rookie year, Milford Lake, PWG championship. Yeah,
love that lake.
I took second in it. I zeroed day 2. Like it was so like I think 3/4 of the field zeroed all 3 days. Like it was horrible, but Dave Anderson, rest his soul, good guy, was buddies with him back then. He won the thing. He hit his limit every day in a bite where you didn't think you could catch a single walleye, right? So, Boy, and any one of the guys on the tour, they're super good anglers. And obviously, a lot of these places we go, we have some of the best locals that hop in too.
Yep.
They know what
Yeah.
they're right. So you can't you can't miss a beat with these guys. I'll tell you that much because you're going to be looking up at a lot of names ahead of you in the leaderboard if you just take it and say, "Oh, this is a tough one. We'll just try to go out
Yep.
there, catch one or two fish."
I haven't heard of too many locals getting in this one. I know Harry Decker and his brother are, and they got second last week at Chairman, and he's a stick.
Sure.
And they live right on there, so you can expect to see his name up there. But I remember that years ago traveling with Takasaki, and he just said that they're always biting somewhere.
Yep.
So we just got to figure out where there's always a fish biting somewhere. And
Yep.
if it's not where you're at, that's obviously not the right place to keep looking. And
Yep.
then your dad and I were talking about it once that I'm like, I used to hate those because it sucks. It's not fun. I want to at least catch some fish, right? It's kind of like having a week of just crap weather. Like it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yep.
And you're spending this kind of money. You want to at least enjoy the time, whether you're doing well in the tournament or not. But over the years, I'm like, I don't hate a tough bite.
They're the easiest ones to win.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's why. Because I'm like, I caught a couple 3 fish today, and all of a sudden your confidence is good because you're like, is this knock talk? But we can read, and a lot of the walleye guys are kind of pretty straight shooters. Like, no man, this just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I think for the most part, the guys are honest, and I've been in it long enough that the guys that aren't honest, I know. I can read them pretty well too, right? Like you learn how to read these guys pretty well throughout the years, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of know who's. I gotta text my boat wrap guy back quick on a font. All right, he's good. Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's always knock talk, and there always will be. But there's guys like Tom. You're just like, whatever. I know exactly what you're doing, so it doesn't. I don't have to guess. It's just not to do it. But then we're hitting some new waters though. We're hitting La Crosse. Of course, we have pool 7, 8, and 9, and we fished in and 9 plenty, and that's been good over the years. So that'll be interesting. I'm only fishing those 2 this year, and I think Randy's just finna fish La Crosse at this point. We'll see where the numbers are for all the people getting in. It sounds like they're maybe a little low on this first one, but
I haven't heard anything in the first. I expect shark. We got to be around 100, I would think, for shark.
Yeah, I think we're give or take 5 up or down around 100. So that's what it's looking like. So and La Crosse, that Mississippi River, I love it. I love rivers. I think you love the rivers. That one's obviously not like the Missouri. But
you know what, Brian? You can have the Mississippi River. It's all yours. Like
I'll take it.
But it's ironic because Missouri River system, my favorite system on the planet to fish walleyes. Mississippi River system, opposite end of the spectrum. It is my least favorite. I've never and I just haven't worked on it, right? Like I don't travel over there and I guess figure out how to be better on a system like that, but I have just really struggled throughout the years on the Mississippi River. So that's one of them. Out of all of them, probably the one that I'm looking forward to the least, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd be the opposite of that. I haven't necessarily done great in a tournament on them, but we found them. We've been on it, or a teammate did well. Randy's done well on them. Yep. I think the key is obviously you got the Mississippi's ripping, man. That thing's, it's going, and it's where I guide on Lewis and Clark, the whole 30 miles of it is a lot more like the Mississippi, where it's the chutes and sandbars. And Springle knows about it a little bit. I think because they've been duck hunting up in there, so I get a little more experience on it, and it is weird. You're fishing places that are you don't think of typical walleye fishing, and just some pretty shallow or some current that's kind of ripping, and if you can find that little pocket, it's loaded with them. Yeah. But once again, they're there one day and they're gone the next, and even you can just watch them move in and watch them move out while you're there, and it's cruising. But I don't know. I like rivers. The scenery at the rivers is, especially the Mississippi, is second to none.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And for the most part, not that the Mississippi can't get rough. It surely can, but it's not Huron like we're going to. It's not it's not Dunkirk on the east side of Erie, right? It's ironic. Like I kind of laugh about it thinking back, right? Because when I was 25, 30 even, I loved rough water. Like I felt like I had a huge advantage, right? Like that didn't bother me. I could take a beating. I had no issues making a long run in rough water. It's probably a little early for me to say this, but being 41, I hate rough water.
Oh, you said your wife and mine both would like to move somewhere warmer. I just want to go where there's no wind. So that
Yeah,
means south. I'm like,
I just
it's the one driving factor that'll get me out of the state is I'm just when it's when you spend every day out in it and you're on
yeah,
the water and you're guiding it, it just makes everything 10 times more difficult. And it can make the fishing good, but it's like
yeah.
this is a lot of effort, man.
It
This is fishing.
it really is. But yeah, it's kind of funny how I flipped in not too long a time because it was just I always was hoping it would blow like crazy during tournament days, and now I'm just like, you know what? Give me a flat, calm day. I know the fishing's going to be tougher, but it's going
Yep.
to be tougher for everyone. But at least it's
Yep.
going to be nice out.
At least it's comfortable and this is a good time. Yeah, well, you're pretty notorious for making those long runs, and
Yeah,
Chase, where's Chase
try
going? I'm
not,
like as far
try not
from the boat dock as he can. That's where he's going.
like I try not to. I try not to, but yeah, like I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna blame that on Chemos actually.
Yeah,
Um,
he's with you.
because usually if there's two guys, the furthest two guys away from the takeoff, a lot of times are Chemos and I.
Yep. Yes, they are.
And I'm gonna blame him for that because he kind of turned me into that, I guess, and it is what it is. I don't mind making long runs. The beauty about that, Brian, is um, a lot of times you can get away and kind of fish by yourself, which is a huge thing and can make a big difference. But like I look at last year, like I was blown away by how many guys went up to Big Bay on Green Bay. Like blown away. There were 40, 50 guys that were making a 90-mile run across Green Bay, and I didn't even make it. Like I
Right.
wasn't one of the guys, right? Usually I'm the idiot that's going 90 miles or 100 miles, and that one I wasn't. And I think it's just a testament to like the equipment that everyone has now, right? The boats are
Yeah.
so much better. Like the motors are our boats are faster, so you can get there quicker. Like all the electronic mounts. Like you don't worry as much as what you used to about just blowing everything off of your boat. It's still very possible, don't get me wrong, but the boats run so well right now that those runs are not as bad as what I guess they used to be, right?
Yep, and that's a great place. We're going to take a quick commercial break brought to you by Roughland Kennels, creators of clean cut boards. And we'll come right back and talk about these boats and motors that make Chase go 100 miles away from the launch. The clean cut board from Roughland Kennels is built tough, built for the wild. Out in the field, down by the ramp, it is your go-to surface for fish and small game. Back at the cabin or in the kitchen, it'll handle whatever you throw on it. Flip this over and you've got a bowl ready for that pulled pork that you smoked on Sunday for that Sunday dinner. The clean cut board, it's rugged, reliable, and ready for anything. Check them out at roughlandkennels.com. All right, we're back, folks. And you're right, Chase. These boats, the new, what do you got? Was this 80-gallon fuel tank in the new ZV21?
Yeah, you can get 83, and actually, if you squeeze out that, I can usually get about 84 and a half gallons.
Now, granted, that's $400 or $500 at the pump, but at least you don't have to fill up, and now we don't have to worry about getting gas, and that takes a lot of it out of it. The concerns of running or not, and the time spent getting fuel, if you can get fuel, which a lot of times in the Missouri River is not an option. So,
yeah.
But they're bigger, they're heavier. We got these monster V10. It's like there's no reason not to do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right. Like, and luckily, pretty much my whole career, like I've been in a 20 or 21 foot glass boat for the most part, and so I've always had good running boats. But yeah, like the boats now, I mean, there's so many 21, 22 footers. They span the waves so well. They're fast. Like you said, if you're in conditions where you can run, a lot of these boats are pushing 70 miles an hour now, which is insane for a big deep V boat to go that fast. But we can cover a lot of water really quick and get to spots. So for me, the long run thing has always been just getting away from the packs, right? Like when I won Chamberlain in 21, ironically, Chemos and I were the furthest two away from the, the launch, and we took first and second in it. And I just kind of relate that to we weren't fishing in the packs, and like a lot of guys did really well. You did real well up north.
It was a pack. That was a big
guys as
pack.
well. But like we weren't catching as many fish because the majority of fish were obviously in the north part of that reservoir. But we weren't fighting other boats to catch the fish that we had accessible to us.
Yep.
And there were some big ones down there. So it doesn't always work out like that, believe me, and you know it as well. I've made a lot of long runs where I've wasted the whole day running and caught nothing when I got there,
Yep.
and that is a terrible feeling.
Yeah, and you're out a few $100s in fuel, so that's great.
Yep. So
yeah, I mean, if you can catch them quick, the runs are worth it. I mean, that's always the thing is like, can I get them in a couple hours?
That's what you got to gauge, right? And then of course you think you can a lot of times if you're gonna make that run, and then you get there and everything's totally changed, and then you're like, whew, then everything's fast forwarded, and it is what it is. But I kind of enjoy that part of it too. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. If the right fish are for a long run, I'm probably never going to be one that passes on it. And if I am, Chemos would be talking in my ear right here in the back ear, telling me that I should go too. Things like that. So, and we even, you know what? I think we even got Springle to make some runs a little bit too, which is fun. Like, he was never one that liked to make long runs.
No, not at all.
And I'll tell you what, I think Chemos is responsible for that more than anything. Calling him a baby and things like that. So it's all good. Yeah,
I remember Bay City takeoff, and Corey goes bloop right here by the first, which I caught a walleye there immediately when we pre-fished, but that was it. I never caught another one. But he went like right on that limit, like you can't fish right here.
Yep.
Corey's like, okay, can I fish right there? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go 10 feet over and starts jigging, and I'm like, that's a good run because we got a 45-minute no wake zone, and he's already hell. He could have been done fishing before we even got out of the damn no wake zone.
Yep, exactly. So no, it's always. I think it's always interesting seeing where guys, pull in, especially if you're making a long run, because you can be like, oh well, gosh, he's fishing there. Like he just ran 3 minutes, and I'm going to run 2.5 hours one way.
Right.
And then like the whole time you're running, right? Your mind's racing, and you're like, I'm an idiot for doing this.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. Because once you commit, you're okay. I get there now. The water's super clean, and they're gone. And it's like now I have to go pre-fish this area and find them.
Yeah. You got it. Like it's fun, but that's the exciting thing. I mean, crazy runs are always something that I'll enjoy. I mean, on the Mississippi last year, that was pretty crazy what we did when we bypassed the lock going in the back channels and stuff.
Yeah, that was. It didn't even resonate with me because we were fishing that same stretch on that whatever that no point whatever thing is called.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and I get there, and I'm like, "You're already here." You and Corey are sitting there working that, and it didn't even. Like, how the hell did he get here before me? I was in the front.
Yeah.
And then later I'm like, oh, he crazy asses went all the way around in some crick.
Yeah, we did. Crick, cattails, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was pretty insane. Like I mean, the backstory of it, like just so everyone knows, there was a barge that was taking up our lock, and pretty much everyone was fishing down down the pool, and so a lot of you guys, well, pretty much everyone fished a little bit of buffalo slough, things like that, for an hour or whatever. And once again, I don't know why I keep saying his name, but Chemos had found a path.
Because he almost just travels his own little way. He's in his own world sometimes.
A path that we could bypass the lock in the back channel and get all the way around, which even the local guys, the local river rats, said with the water levels, there's no way it was possible. Well, if you know Tom Chemos, when you say there's no way it's possible, he's gonna figure out how to make it possible, and he did. So we're sitting there before takeoff, and I think everyone was having the same conversations, right? They're like, "Oh, the barge, gosh, we got to fish up here for an hour, wait for that to happen." And Chemos just looks at me, and he's got that crazy look in his eye, and I'm like, "Oh, no." And he's like, "I'm doing it." He's like, "You guys can follow me." Now, mind you, Springle, Tom, and myself had never made that run. We'd not done it. We didn't even know what we were getting ourselves into. And on top of it, Tom Kimos had a 20-foot Triton, the
All right.
smallest boat, the
Yep.
smallest, least drafting boat in our entire group. And he was going to lead the way. And I'm like, okay, yep, whatever. So we decided we were going to do it. And I'll tell you what, like it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy, but we got down there, we're fishing. And like you said, Brian, you were fishing by me on Point No Point. Corey was there too. But the boats, like, first boat down was Max Wilson.
Yeah.
Right? And he gets in the lake and he looks over and you could just see it in his eyes. Like, how on earth are these guys
What are you doing
ahead of us? Like, the looks we got just because we were there. I mean, we were fishing for 40 minutes before anything got down there. So,
yeah, I just never even went through my head till like later. I'm like, they were already here. I'm like, they probably already got a couple fish in a box. And then I was
yeah,
just
we
like,
did. Yeah, it was really good right away.
yeah. And we were there day before, and I threw back a couple that I probably ended up needing, but practice, was some nice 6-pounders in there.
Yep.
I'm like, this is, and you could see them laying along those logs.
Yep.
On the side image, and I'm just like, we just pulled. I think you were cranking. I pulled bouncers through it. And, But like that's why I like Mississippi. But you better take every rod or combo you got in your whole arsenal. Yeah. Especially a spot like that, because you're gonna lose some baits. But that was crazy. But I mean, I do the same thing up here in the chutes, and the best way to get around this is full tilt, baby. Get that baby up out of the water and go.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of it was. There were a couple areas where it was like you couldn't. Like when we got in there, I'm like, what on earth does he have us like? I thought all 4 of us were gonna get stuck, and we were gonna have no way of getting out of there, pretty much. But we made it.
It was the story heard all around once afterwards. You're like, those guys, everybody figured it out quick. They're like, yeah, they had a trail that went around the lock.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't even know there was a river or a creek over there.
It was funny, right? Because like all 4 of us had a good second day, and like not a single person was like, hey, how'd you do today? They're like, how on earth did you guys get around? Like no one cared about how many fish we caught or what we did. People were just like, did you guys seriously go around the lock? And we're just like, yep.
I mean, that's the level of, I don't know if it's stupidity, but dedication that we have, and the competitiveness, the kind of the stupid, crazy stuff we'll do.
Stupidity, yeah.
Right.
Like,
it's a gauge. You got to take a risk, right? Higher risk, bigger reward on these things, and it's just like making the long runs. You get there and you're like, I rolled the dice and I got snake eyes when I got here, or bam, bam, bam. I mean, at Green Bay, those guys went up there and, and they hit and they had a couple spots and they cracked them and they were done. Yeah, maybe rough and a long run, but I'm coming in at 10 or, noon versus grinding all day, scratching your head because you were 5 miles from the launch because it was manageable.
Yeah.
But I don't, this first 21-foot boat I had, so I'm looking forward to not having, and with the, the 400 and the 80 plus gallon tank, I'm like, I'm not worried about nothing. I'm just going, that 20 handled the waves great, better than any boat I've ever had.
Yep.
And 100% of the time motor ran perfect. I never had any issues. So, I mean, you got to trust your equipment, because that, if you don't, in the back of your mind, that's taking you out of that whole equation.
Yeah. It's a big deal, right? Like, and like you said, the tank that we have in these 21 nitros, 83, 84 gallons is just, it's such a big deal. It's a huge deal for anyone that wants to make those long runs. Because let's face it, a lot of the competitors' boats have a 55 or 60 gallon tank, right? And that extra 25 gallons, a lot of times, like we talked about before, is the difference between stopping for fuel and not. And that right there is a huge deciding factor for a lot of us, right? Sometimes there isn't fuel to stop for, but also like there's times where you don't make that run because you're like, well, what if I'm number 4 in line for gas and it takes an extra hour, things like that. So it just takes a lot of the kind of guessing and I guess fear of the long runs out of it. Probably not a great thing for me because I already was making crazy runs. And now it just makes it so much easier, Brian. So why not?
Right. Well, you got more fishing time, which what it all boils down to. Now you think,
Yeah.
when a lot of these long runs started, obviously with Sakakawea back in what, like 15 or something like that.
That was crazy.
That
Yep.
was crazy. But to your point, is fishing away from people. Now there was obviously people up there, but that's a big area. It was still pretty
Yep.
spread out.
Yep.
On day 2, I couldn't see a boat far as I could see where I went, but I only went about 60 some miles. But
Yep.
that was so strategic. I remember Keem was out there and you're waxing the boats, taking windshields off, taking kickers off. I pulled a Tom Wayne and I had a box of jigs and like 4 rods in a boat, and that was it.
Yep.
I think I threw 4 trolling rods and a box of flicker minnows just in case.
Yeah.
But hour and a half fishing was done.
Yep.
And but it was strategic on, okay, cutting here. I'm going to get gas. Where am I going to get it? And I went to Indian Hills and in and out, and I did the math. I got to go full throttle to here. I'm going to burn 15 gallons. I can top it off. And then if I just go like 44, I'm good to go the rest of the way and back.
Yep.
Now I don't have to worry about that. I can just freaking go.
Yep. No,
those were some runs, but it's also, when the weather's good, it's kind of nice to take a 2-hour full throttle boat ride and just,
I agree. Yeah.
just cruise, especially on the Missouri River.
When it's nice, I really like making those runs for sure. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. You get knock on a whole cup of coffee and you're just cruising.
It's usually Red Bulls for me.
Oh man, that coffee guy. In the long runs, I probably have the thermos with me, but yeah, it's. I've had to stop and pee before on a long run too, though, because I'm like, it was not smooth out and it's rough. I'm like, I can't take it. Time out. I gotta go. We still got like 30 miles. So we're gonna take a break and go hit the head here quick. So.
Yep.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. The boats are beasts, the new motors. I can't wait. Hope yours floats. Hope mine floats, and everything runs good. And we'll be cracking some walleyes next week or here in the next few days, and we're gonna give her hell. We'll wrap this up here on tournaments. Where do you feel? How you feel we're going? What kind of changes you think we can make on all the circuit levels, or what? Do we need to make adjustments? Do we not need to make adjustments? Do we just need to all shut up and fish, as it says right behind me?
Yeah, I think everyone that follows tournaments, and it's crazy. It's not just the walleye tournaments. You see it in the bass tournament now. It's just all the, I guess, the rules and guys getting DQ'd and things like that. What I would say is I would like to see the tournament circuits, if they're going to have a rule, it has to be a black and white rule, right? Seems like there's a lot of gray areas with a lot of stuff going on right now. Whether it's our circuit, Brian, whether it's the Bass Tour, things like that.
Yep.
If a circuit cannot regulate a rule, there's no reason to have that rule. It's just a crazy thing, right? So I'd like to see some rules revamped, to be honest, just to make it cut and dry. And then secondly, I think everyone would agree that it takes a tournament director that, I'm going to just say it, has the balls to make the right call when there's infractions that take place. Because I think that's a little bit of everything that's going on right now. Guys are uneasy with things because it's brought to light that there's things that go on in tournaments, right? And I think it all started with the weights and the fish thing on Erie, right?
Oh, certainly didn't help nothing.
From there, but think about it. That was like the first big thing. And now, like the last couple of years, now it's just blown up where it seems like every tournament there's something going on. And as you and I both know, because we've done this long enough, there's always been guys that have cut corners in tournaments. Way before I was alive, right? Guys probably push the envelope on a lot of different things. So I think that, the circuit's just getting a good grasp of having the right person in place to make the calls to, no matter who it is, if you're breaking a rule, that's there. You need to be DQ'd. Like, guys just need to be penalized for cutting corners and doing things like that. And you're starting to see it a little bit on some tours, but I think that's the main thing, right? I don't think that any of these tournaments, the numbers going down for participants, are anything to do with the sites we're going to, the bites we're going to. I think it is 100% to do with everyone wanting an equal playing field, Brian.
Yep.
I think that is why if we see numbers go down a little bit, some of these guys that aren't fishing maybe probably have felt like it hasn't been an equal playing field. And that's the only thing that I care about with going to fish a tournament. Everyone should be treated the same. If you break a rule, whether you did it on purpose or on accident, you should get penalized for it, and move on. It is what it is. Like, I would never say anyone's purposely going out there cheating. I mean, there's guys that you do something accidentally and dang it, it was against the rule. It is what it is. Move on with life. Go fish the next one, right?
Yeah, there's no point in having them if you don't enforce them. So
yeah, you got to enforce them. That's number 1A on my list is rules have to be enforced. And then, I just think that, in our example for the NWT, really paying attention to the locations guys and things want to go, right? Because let's just face it, we are very different than the bass world. A lot of those guys make their living doing that. A lot of us do not. I do. I'm a lucky guy that gets to, you guide things like that. But for the most part, they're guys that want to go out and have fun and catch a lot of fish too in the walleye circuit. So making sure we're going to the good locations at the right times, I think will just help it a little bit. Obviously, more money in the pot would be great. But I think the payouts and stuff with fields are pretty good. For me, it's just trying to get back to a point where everyone's confident that they can go out and compete and not have to worry about some of the shenanigans that have been occurring the last couple of years, right? I think that's what it is.
Ball and I talked about payouts, and he's got the old payouts from even PW days, and we're actually sitting better, than a lot of those. The difference is the cost. The boats are twice as much, fuel's twice as much, lodging's twice as much, but the payouts aren't twice as much, but they're better. But back then there was a lot more, which we got great contingency through the Nitro and the Ranger Triton program. Is a great contingency money, which is huge. So if y'all ain't registered, you're not part of that, get on the program. I think it's $10,000 for NWT now, and it was used to be 7 or 8, and we kind of got our own special one for the NWT. But that applies to local tournaments and everywhere. You can make a lot of money just in contingencies throughout the year, even in your local tournaments. But they had a lot of big fish, a lot of day money, a lot of best comeback. They had a lot of other things because, how many times we do have a horrible day one and an awesome day two or vice versa, and all of a sudden now you're back. Maybe you missed the cut for a check, but, man, you had the biggest bag of the whole tournament, and that was worth nothing theoretically, and that kind of sucks, but it happens. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's I would agree with you. Like, now, don't get me wrong. You and I both, like all the guys that fish it, we'd love for the payouts to go up for sure. But I just the payout part of it to me isn't the major problem right now.
No.
And I know everyone else would agree with that as well too. Our payouts are decent. We need to find a way to some of these guys that might have stepped away the last year or two to get them back to come compete again, right? Like, the more boats that we have in our world, the better. And it just is what it is, right? Just because, let's face it, our circuit's open, right? If you want to play, you pay and you're in. So the more boats we have, the better for all of us. And it's just kind of everyone getting on the same page again and trying to move forward together, which I hope happens. I have hopes, right? But
we got to, with guys like you and me and Corey and Tom and those, just to tell you, the listeners, that this is a good thing. This is great. I'd love to see 200 boats out there. It doesn't matter to me if I'm competing against 100 or 2. The fact of 2 is the payouts go higher, and it's still you versus the fish. I just put everybody else. I don't care. It's me versus that little 2-eyed little itty bitty brain thing that outsmarts me more often than not. That's it. This is all that matters, and then in the day you'll see where you land. But you want more money, you need more boats. And that's good for the industry. So
it is. So I mean, I think if you're looking on social media and stuff like that, a lot of guys are commenting that the whole fishing industry's falling apart and stuff. It's not. right? Like still plenty strong, but there's definitely some things in the tournament world, right?
Right.
That could change for the better. And as anglers, all we can do is try to keep uh, making recommendations and seeing if any of them stick, right? Like there's not a
Right.
lot that we can do other than that.
Yep.
So it kind
If
of
I,
is what it is.
yep. I just have an opinion. I don't own it, so I can't make the calls. But here's my opinion. I think, and you and I are both a couple, and Kimos as well is an outspoken person that's got to let you know our opinion,
Yeah.
and see what you do with it from there.
Yep.
But you've been around this long enough. Your opinion is pretty, it's very valid and credible. And you've seen the industry do this up and down thing, and we're just kind of in one of those cycles that's not bad, not great, but I mean, COVID still has a lot to do with it. So,
Agreed. Yep. Yep.
No.
So yeah, I have high hopes. I mean, here's the thing, Brian. Like the tournament part of it, which is probably where the most bickering comes in. To me, like
totally.
The tournament part of my job is the most fun part of my job.
Yep.
Like I love fishing tournaments; they're fun, right? So I don't want if I can do anything to help them get better and give some insight and hopefully some of these changes do occur. Like that's a great thing because geez, like we shoot TV shows. Yeah, I do a lot of promotions for the companies, but the most fun part of it is going and fishing tournaments and hanging out with the guys and being competitive, right? So
yeah, we're in the same boat. That's my vacation, because when you guide and you fish every day, they're like, "Oh, it's a great living." I'm like, this is work.
Yeah.
And trust me, I started a couple hours before you got here, and I'm going to get done 3 or 4 hours after you leave. So, because now it's in the camper on the computer till 10 o'clock, getting back to emails and booking and keeping the other guys, going, and then going back out and staying on fish. But when you get to go away for these tournaments and that pre-week, the pre-fish time, I'm like, I get out pretty darn early and we'll stay out, fairly late, and it's work. But I'm like, it's just me, and this is fun. This is your little getaway from whatever, from the day-to-day stuff. Because like you, we got families and kids and short hairs that run the house and or short hair anyway. And it's just, this is your little vacation. So, but it's still work. That's the job we love. So, all right, leave these listeners with a little nugget from Chase to help them along their angling journey, make them better anglers, better term anglers, better fishermen. What do you got for them? Piece of advice.
I think, and everyone's talked so much about the forward-facing thing, right? I think just in general, for a lot of anglers, whether you fish small tournaments or whether you're just going out to catch fish, the electronics, fish can't hide anymore, no matter what you have. You don't have to have forward-facing sonar, obviously, to go catch fish. But when you talk about just being really good at reading 2D sonar, even still right now, is still a huge thing. Side scan, you can see everything you need to see, all the areas that will have fish. Like I would say for anglers, the more that you can just work on understanding your electronics, no matter what type of body of water you fish, the better, right? Because if you understand, you might not need to see a pile of fish on side scan, but if you can see this rock shelf really well, that in your mind will hold fish, trust me, it does hold fish.
It does.
So,
they're there.
So it's just one of the things that, you don't have to have the top of the line stuff, because even midline stuff is super good now. Understanding the electronics, whether you're a Lake Erie suspended fisherman, whether you drag Lindy rigs around on an inland lake, it really doesn't matter. Electronics are where it's at. Studying them, looking at good maps, figuring those things out, and just always keeping that in the back of your mind. And I think everyone hears it. Oh yeah, electronics are really good, but everything shifted so much toward forward facing that I would just like to say that it doesn't have to be forward facing. There's a lot of other sonars and technologies out there that will help you be a better angler too. So if you're not a forward facing guy, perfectly fine. Just get better at what you have and you're going to catch more fish.
Yep. Master your electronics, be a master angler.
That's it.
And it doesn't even matter what brand you have now. They are all just good. Doesn't. They're all ridiculously good.
Yeah. They're all super good. You're a Garmin guy, right?
I'm a Bird But I got a Garmin scope, and
Yep.
being on the Missouri River, I always have a bird because the mapping's just there's nothing
And
comparable to it.
Like it's crazy when I think about that, Brian. Like even you look at electronics, you look at boats, you look at all this stuff, and I feel like 10 to 12 years ago there was a big discrepancy from company to company in all of this stuff. That gap in every single facet of the industry is now kind of right in here, right? All the equipment's really good now. It's what you're comfortable with. It's what you're used to using, and user interfaces, stuff like that with electronics. So, but yeah, I'm with you. It's all good. All
and the price point is pretty much almost right there too on everything from both electronics. They're all give or take. I talked to Jimmy Bell the other day. He was coming out for the Fishing U and doing some Garmin stuff, and he was like, "All right, where's the bite?" I said, "Oh, that's normal, right? Let's go north, or you can go over here." I said, just turn your side scan on. I'm like, I caught him in 9-10, and then I caught him in 4 and 5, and that 4 and 5 is loaded. I'm like, you can't not see those fish. There is no rocks there, so those are all fish, and it's ridiculous. And he's like, I'm just not good with the side scan. I'm like, you can get rid of my 2D and everything else. Leave me my side scan. I'm like, that baby that's money. And that's all I used for years, up on Chamberlain catching them and now scoping. But typically there's so many fish. I'm like, I don't even need the scope. I don't want to chase one and go buy 100. I'm like, just get your bait in the water, they're there. And he said, he goes, you and my other, this guy I fish tournaments with, he's like, they live on that thing. I'm like, because you should. Because it works really, really good. And if this thing goes down, you always have this, but I'm like, you can't really 2D fish in 4 foot of water. It's like, but there's so many of them there, there's a couple of them that are going to go right underneath the boat. So good stuff. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, Chase. I know you're busy. Got to get packed. I got to get packed. We got to go make sure these bad boy nitros float. And they will, like balloons, I'm sure, because we don't want to sink like rocks, but we want those, get those Mercury get a little bit too, so we can let it rip and hopefully not making. The good thing about Lake Sharp, I think it's only like 70 miles. So
yeah, it is. Trust me, if you don't think that I didn't look at the total distance already, you're out of your mind.
Yep. You're like, okay, I can go from one end of this baby to the back, no problem. All right, I'm good. And it's not frozen; it's all open. So and I don't spend a lot of time on that lure, and never have, but I'm going to definitely go check it out. So maybe we'll see you down there, but we'll definitely see you on the water. And I think that's about it. We'll get this wrapped up. Thanks, Chase, for your time today, and we'll see you.
Had fun.
You bet. We'll see you here in just a matter of a few days. And thank all you for tuning in and listening on Apple, Spotify, all those podcast platforms, or those that are watching along over on YouTube or the Walleye Guys page. So stay safe, and we'll see you on the water.